Hi, and welcome to a Papetti Math YouTube video, where I'm going to be teaching you Algebra 1. So today we're going to begin Chapter 11, which deals with mainly sequences, and Chapter 11 is probably the shortest chapter. It is the shortest chapter in the book. It's only 3 lessons on the 3 different types of sequences. So taking a look at Lesson 1, we're going to be looking at these things called arithmetic sequences. Now this word might look like arithmetic, but it is also pronounced arithmetic, especially when it comes to sequences. So if you say arithmetic sequences, you wouldn't be totally wrong, but many people might pronounce this as arithmetic sequences. In this lesson, you will begin working with sequences. A sequence is an ordered list of numbers where each number in the sequence is called a term. Sequences often have patterns that allow you to predict any term in the sequence. The term you are trying to predict is called the nth term, where n is any whole number. So based on a pattern of numbers, you're able to predict what the 30th, the 40th, the 80th, the 70th, whatever term it is, we call that the nth term because n could be any whole number. So if we're looking at exercise number 1, it says based on the sequences below, determine a pattern within the sequence. After you have determined the pattern, find the 7th term. So in this case, our nth term is going to be the 7th term. So let's take a look at 6, 12, 18, and 24. We want to find a constant pattern, how we get from one number to the next. So if we look at 6 to 12, your first instinct might say, okay, you could multiply 6 times 2. So if you do 6 times 2, you get 12. That works. So what's 12 times 2? It's not 18. So in order for this to be a sequence, this pattern has to be the same throughout the entire sequence. So it's not multiplying by 2. So we ask ourselves how else we could get from 6 to 12. And we can also get from 6 to 12 by adding 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. Let's try this one. 12 plus 6 will give me 18, and 18 plus 6 will give me 24. So my pattern in this sequence is adding 6. Okay, so now we want to find the 7th term. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. We're going to need 5, 6, 7. So if we add 6 to 24, we're going to get 30. If we add 6 to 30, we're going to get 36. And if we add 6 to 36, we're going to get 42. So the 7th term is going to be 42. Now, if we take a look at this one, we have 2, 6, 10, 14. So again, you're looking for a pattern here. So you might say, okay, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is not 10, so it's not multiplying. Let's go to adding because they're getting larger, so it's probably multiplying or adding. So let's add and see 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. So in this case, our pattern is adding 4 every time. And to get our 5th, 6th, 7th term, because it says up here to find the 7th term, we're going to add 4 again. We're going to get 18. We're going to add 4 again, and we're going to get 22. And we're going to add 4 one final time for our 7th term, and we'll have 26 for our 7th term. All right, so now we have some negative numbers in part C. And in part C, we have -8, -1, 6, and 13. So take a look at that one and see if you can figure out what the pattern is. If you need to, pause the video so I don't go too far ahead and try to figure out what's going on there. Okay, so now that we have -8 to -1, we could see that that is adding 7. And then let's just see if that pattern continues throughout. -1 plus 7 is definitely 6, and 6 plus 7 will give you 13. So this pattern is going to be adding 7. And to get our 7th term of this sequence, we're going to add 7 again, and we're going to get 20. We're going to add 7 again, and we're going to get 27, and we're going to add 7 one final time to get 34. So our seventh term is going to be 34. And finally, we've dealt with negatives in part C. Now we're going to be dealing with decimals in part D. So taking a look at part D, you might notice that this one's a little bit different than the other ones because in parts A, B, and C, all of your numbers, all of your terms of the sequences were increasing as you read them from left to right. These terms of this sequence are decreasing. So instead of adding or multiplying, we're going to be probably dividing or subtracting. So let's take a look. How do we get from 20 to 18.5? Well, let's start off with subtracting. And we'd have to subtract 1.5, or 1.5. Do we subtract 1.5 to get to 17? And the answer is yes. And then do we subtract 1.5 to get to 15.5? And the answer is yes again. So again, you always want to check out all of the terms. Don't just see that it works for the first two and assume that it works for the last one, because it won't always be the case. So make sure it works for all of your terms that you're given. So now our pattern is subtracting 1.5 or adding negative 1.5. Either one of those. And then we're going to need to find our seventh term. So this is our fifth, our sixth, and our seventh. So we're going to subtract 1.5 again. Oops. And we're going to get 14. We're going to subtract 1.5 again. And we're going to get 12.5. And one final time, we'll subtract 1.5. And we will have 11. So our seventh term here is 11. If this was a helpful introduction to arithmetic sequences, please give this video a thumbs up to let me know that this video was helpful to you. Otherwise, you could go and click the link and it'll take you to exercise number 2.